Patties for fabrics that are outstanding, do not wash, durable, high quality, very affordable, and far better prices, especially if you are a wholesale and retail textile dealer. You will find us in Benin City. Patties Nigeria Limited, number 11 Sokwabe Road, by Owina Junction, Benin City. Call 081-718-95811. Patties, Super Ashwabi Prince Unlimited.
Hey, my people, make una come on. It don't happen.
Let us know you're still there with us on Flip Side. Yes, we always make sure, we ensure that every part of this program you learn something. I know you've learned what makes today special beyond the fact that you can breathe in, you can see today, you can listen to me, and you can see me right here. Yes, Today in History, that's what the segment is meant for, to make you know something amazing actually happened on a day like this. And we've also learned the meaning of the name Donatus and Juanita. Yes, Donatus Latin means gift. Juanita, which also is similar, is a Spanish name, and it means gift from God. All right, I have a special person right here in the studio to do justice to the topic conversation and telephone etiquette. I have a media consultant. This person is a lecturer, a media studies coordinator. He is with the International Institute of Journalism, Benin Studies Center. That is Mr. Tony Abolo. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
I actually love the way you talk. I like your voice, and I really like people who have good command of English. Good to finally meet you. I've heard a lot about you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, today we're talking about conversation etiquette and telephone etiquette. I wonder, is it that some people are born with the natural gift of just knowing what to say and how to say it, or it's a skill we have to learn and develop?
Right away, I think it's a natural gift, let's face it. It's merely human to talk. Of course, when it comes to talking, it's not just only us. I guess spirits talk.
Wow.
Okay. Anyway.
Really?
Anyway, oh, sure.
Okay.
Plants talk.
Yeah.
Animals talk. So when you look at the whole sphere of conversation, it's a whole spectrum of everything living except inanimate. But even at that, we may also be looking, don't dead bodies talk?
Really? They do?
Oh, you
No,
know?
I've heard dead men don't. Okay, no. Dead
They
men
say they don't bite. Yeah,
okay,
but
they
who said they don't talk? Anyway, it's a skill that all of us must learn.
Okay.
It's actually what you call social control and social capital development. All social skills have to be properly guided. Even if we said that talking and conversation is human, but you have to guide how human beings talk. And like what we're doing now, we're in conversation, let's face it.
Yes,
so it's no different. So it's a skill that people have to be guided. And why, again, it's important to say this is that there are too many things in Nigeria we presume just be natural. And it's this naturalness that is bringing a lot of disorderliness in Nigeria. And I think we ought to begin to learn that in everything, you must learn the culture, the etiquette, the habit, and have the proper social habits with which you dialogue and hold communication with other people and relate to people in a very sensible manner.
All right. Now, in a formal environment, like in offices, okay, I worked somewhere before where we were told they use an American standard. So you don't go brother, uncle, you just call them by their first names.
Name,
I had problems, you know. I couldn't just call my boss. She was married with 4 children. She was way older than me, and you just expect me to come and say, Nekwe. I don't get it. How will I do that?
In Nigeria here?
Yes, in Nigeria.
No. You see, those are some of the things we have to be careful about. Cultures are transferred and planted. I mean, I'm not going to go into a long story about the damage of colonialism to our culture. But those are the things that are wrong. If that is the way we relate to one another with respect, we can't throw it away and become Americans. If you're in America, fine. Call Barack, if you want to call him Barack, instead of calling him Mr. President. And it's okay with him. You're not going to call Muhammadu Buhari. Are you going to meet him and tell him, hey, Muhammad?
You'll be in jail.
I don't know about being jailed. But on a serious note, we must retain our respect for elders and good manners in how we treat even the women. And those are the things we must keep, because it is expected that someday you're going to be older and you want younger people to respect you. So I'm not sure. So if you're uncomfortable in the right way.
Okay.
Because they were trying to bend you from your culture, and that was they were trying to teach you a wrong, in inverted commas, a wrong thing.
All right.
You wanted to continue to be a Nigerian.
Yes. So what I was doing then is when I get to an office, I don't just address her, I just go ahead to say what I came to present. All right, so in a formal environment, even though it's in Nigeria, how should we address people before we start talking with them?
You have to know the relationship first. It's a younger person. Even if it's a younger person, things have also changed from the way at my age and your age. At my age, there were different ways in which a younger person would be treated. In fact, you may take the old quote, the young children are to be seen but not heard. But these days, I think we are beginning to allow them to be heard.
Yes,
which is some difference. And which means if you're going to allow a child to be heard, you still want the child to talk in a deferring manner to an older person. Not like we were saying, behaving as if we're in America. Hey, uncle. Hey, Tony. Hey, no. There must be respect. And when you are treating a child, remember that the respect you give to a child is meant to also nurture that child. It's not meant to intimidate a child. So you ought to bring that child up, whether it's a he or she, and of course you must treat them differently, in a sensible manner, remembering the sexes and also remembering their age. And if you're also dealing with somebody who's at par with you, your peer group or your colleague, of course you could be intimate, you could break the rules if you like.
Okay.
Because it's understandable. I mean, nothing hard and fast between you both. But when you're treating your superior, even if that fellow is younger than yourself, a superior is a superior. It's like they say there are two rules in an office. Rule 1, the boss is right. Rule 2, if the boss is wrong, go back to rule 1.
Okay, he's always right.
So
Okay.
therefore, you must keep respecting the boss. So, and if the boss is a lot older, because of age, you must give due respect to that individual. The fellow is of a royalty, is maybe a dean or the vice chancellor or an MD or group MD. Of course, there is a room. Even the distance between that boss and yourself, you have to maintain that distance, because that hierarchical space is important to maintain respect and dignity. Like we say, someday we're nurturing people along the social lines to let you know that someday you're going to be there. And haven't been treated and learnt the art of respect, then you also ought to learn or deserve and earn that respect that you've given to other people.
All right. You've been in this talking business for quite some time now. Yeah, you're a journalist, you're now a lecturer, you're impacting the knowledge you've gathered over the years into younger people. How do we learn how to talk for people to not just hear us talk, but they want to listen to us and keep listening to us?
Okay, I don't know whether to start with the negative before the positive, but maybe it's a better way to start, it's remembering your a little Americanese training. The Americans always like to tell a story, but say, I've got good news and bad news for you. Do I start with the good news or the bad news? So the bad news would have been the negative. So let's start with the positive, the good news. By the way, talking about what we're talking about, outgoing and they want to engage other people. If you find such a character, conversation is, it's a bomb. I mean, you'll be talking, laughing, playing, and it's a jolly good time.
Yeah.
Then you're going to meet people who are shy. That individual. That's how, again, the conversation gets so alive and well, and everybody will enjoy it. And but if the fellow maybe is talking and is replying in monologue, one word, 2 words, that's not inspiring
At all.
Now, if you notice that you now have to see how do you draw out that individual to enjoy that conversation. So maybe you may try some little humor. Who doesn't like something to laugh about? But then again, like I said, you must you must be watching other people's sensibilities. So if the fellow, you know the individual to the background, and if you may have offended somebody without knowing, then you must apologize, and apologize profusely. So the other side of it is to also know that in conversation, never dominate. Even if you find that other individual is not talking with longer sentences, fine logic, many anecdotes, many storytelling to enhance the conversation, don't dominate. Allow individual space. Because you see, when you're holding a conversation with somebody, you want to, first of all, discover whether, you see, in conversation, it's like two edges coming closer and closer and closer and closer and closer together.
Yeah.
Now, when you want to dominate, human beings love space. I want my space. So if you're closing up on me and being the only one talking, I may in my inner self, like you said, except in the soliloquy, you're talking to yourself.
Yeah.
I may internally dialogue with myself and say, gosh, does that fellow think I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I don't even know what I'm saying? Then I keep more quiet, and the fellow's not going to respond. So you don't dominate a conversation. You must allow the other individual to speak. And when you allow that response, you use it as a measurement to know whether the fellow is even understanding what you're saying. And if the fellow is understanding, you don't even have to say, do you understand what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Of course, those are no good manners in conversation.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it's not good. It's not good manners. You just say what you have to say. I mean, it's like forcing you to say, do you understand? Are you deaf? The fellow has ears. now
Okay. I get it.
Right. So you just hold on. You keep talking, and the fellow, you make the point, and occasionally you may ask a question because you want to elicit some response from that individual. So that's how you hold. And again, never shout. There's no need to shout. Even if you're talking to a child, no need to shout. In fact, when you're talking to a child, and again, talking to a woman, you must have good manners. Talk to a lady. Even if it's your age, talk to a lady. And even if it's a child, remember, if you're talking to a child is not your age. A child only understands at a childlike level. So you must, if you're here and the child is here, then come down and level with the child. It's like, in the Montessori method, if you have to have good manners at table, you don't make the fellow sit on a golden chair, on a golden table, and everything is high up as if it was prepared for adults. No. You make a small table and a small chair, just that size. And for a child, that is as good as the golden table and the golden chairs.
Yeah.
So the same way in conversation, you come down to a child level and get even the imagery you're using. The imagery must converse at the level the fellow can understand. That's when there is communication. So if you come to a child's level, the language you use, the words you use, must sync with the child and be at the child's level that the child can also perceive, understand, and respond. And that is the way you hold a conversation with a child. And so that's why I said you don't shout. You don't talk to a child in a way that brings up the child in knowledge and in good habits. Even if you're scolding a child, you could hold a conversation with a child while you may say you're scolding and you may be upbraiding a child, but you must do it at that same level. And again, if you're talking to somebody's, let's say, even if it's you're quarreling, you don't shout. So we want that conversation to be held in a very cordial manner. And then also, never get abusive. Never get abusive. There are people who say they're holding conversation, and they're the first to even insult the other individual.
Yeah.
All to prove that they
are right.
They think. It's a matter of thinking. When it comes, in fact, that was the next point I was going to come to, but I will hammer on that. And that is what still talking about being non-abusive. Don't presume because you have either a higher degree or you've been to school and the other fellow has, but we only have different opinions. So has to be handled. Oh, that is and
I just ask, what do you think about